This is Cristina Preston with Schnucks, and you're listening to the CPG Guys podcast.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys. Today's episode was recorded at the 2025 Digital Food and Beverage Summit in West Palm Beach, Florida. It was recorded inside of an active restaurant, which accounts for some of the background noise. We hope you enjoy this conversation with Cristina Preston, the Director of Digital Marketing at Schnuck Markets.
Hello and welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Today we're coming to you from not so sunny West Palm Beach, Florida, where the 2025 Digital Food and Beverage Summit is taking place. I'm pleased today to be joined by a terrific guest steeped in the disciplines of digital marketing. She's appearing on stage at the summit, representing her employer Schnucks, a super regional grocery retailer based out of St. Louis, Missouri. If you're a frequent listener to this podcast, you know that my family hails from Mount Vernon, Illinois, just across the river from St. Louis. So this is a hometown kind of conversation for me to some degree. I never grew up there, but I spent a good chunk of my youth in that neck of the woods. Please help me welcome the Director of Digital Marketing at Schnucks, Cristina Preston. Hey, Cristina, welcome to the podcast.
I'm super happy to be here. I did not know that your family's from Mount Vernon.
My family is from Mount Vernon, and there was an old department store there years ago called the Mammoth, and that was my family's department store.
Okay.
And I knew about it growing up because boxes would just appear on my doorstep with clothing in them. And as a kid, I always, people said, where do you shop? I was living up in Canada at the time, and I've never seen those clothes in stores here. Now they all come from the Mammoth. Oh, the Mammoth.
E-commerce before e-commerce was
exactly.
a thing.
It was just pick up the phone, call the person in the department, say, just put a bunch of clothing size X in the box and ship it to this address. That was e-commerce 0.0.1.
Way before digital was a thing.
Exactly. Hey, before I get to the questions I've prepared for this episode, it would be great if you could share with our audience what you're going to be talking about during your appearance here at Digital Food and Beverage.
Yeah, so I'm on a really awesome panel tomorrow, and we're talking about growing relevancy within our brands. So how to stay relevant, especially with the landscape of digital ever changing. It seems like every time we come to conferences like this, there's something new. Sometimes it's RMN, sometimes it's AI, sometimes it's personalization, whatever that is. And so, so tomorrow I'll be talking with a few other co-panelists and just keeping that relevancy alive with your brand.
That is great. To our audience, if you want to learn more about Cristina and the work she does, in the digital show notes of this episode, you'll find a link to her LinkedIn profile and Schnucks' LinkedIn page and their corporate website, so we can all multitask as we're going along, as we are wont to do. I can't tell you how many people, I get messages all the time from people who are out for a morning run, they're listening to the podcast and they have a question and they just start texting me as they're doing it. Yep. And they're reading something. I'm on their site and listening to this. That's how we all operate in this day and age, right?
Now,
it's kind of crazy. All right, Cristina, so let's get to the questions that I prepared for today's conversation. I'd love to hear your perspective on what role personalization plays in digital campaigns, and how are you thinking about, as representing digital marketing for major grocery retail, how does that balance with privacy concerns?
Yeah, so we have a really great, robust loyalty program. So all of our first-party data, comes from our loyalty program. So the beautiful thing is customers are opting in. There are no privacy concerns. You can opt out, at any point. We can delete your data if, we follow all of the laws for all of that. Also, it's, I think, not even just privacy. I think it's the perception of the big brother, right? So even though you're following the rules, you're compliant, you're doing all the things that you're allowed to do, I think that could be a tough balance. So for us, personalization is key because, we want to, and I'm sure a lot of retailers and brands are like this too, we want to present content to a customer that is relevant to how they shop, but not seem like we're being that overly creepy retailer, right? That's taking a look at everything that they're doing. But we figured out kind of that right balance where customers actually come back, and we've done focus groups, we've done customer surveys where they actually enjoy that personalization. So I think we've found like that sweet spot between like perception and like being overbearing and like actually providing value for our customers and how they shop. You know, it's not just noise, it's like actually like amplifying their shopping experience. So somewhere in the middle is a good place to be, I think.
Yeah, I think we're in an era where most consumers, the lion's share of consumers, understand that they're willing to forego a measure of privacy if it means they're going to get relevant messages and relevant offers to them. And so, yeah, they understand that. And to your point, it's opt-in. If you don't like it,
Sure.
You don't have to be a part of it. But it's come a long way from my days in retail 15 years ago, where there were certain categories we didn't even talk about in terms of personalization, as I'm sure there are today. They're always concerned about, you want to delight the customer, you don't want to offend the customer.
Yeah, and I think too, it's what's the purpose behind it. If it's to offer like a value option for customers and sales and deals and coupons, I think our customers are like, yes, please sign me up as quick as we can, right? Because we're all trying to save money, whether it's in grocery or otherwise. So I think, to your point, like that's a really valid justification for, it's not just the convenience factor or for awareness. It's, hey, I'm willing to provide my personal information to you so that you can help me save money. It's worth it.
Yeah. And I think it's also a bit about value is in the eye of the beholder. For some people, value is saving money. For other people, it's the quality of the product or the convenience. So it's about getting all the signals and learning about who your consumers are, and then delighting them with what they determine is value, right? So I think that's critically important. So I'd love to know from your perspective how you are measuring the success of digital initiatives and what key performance indicators for you are most critical for your team to say, yeah, we're actually achieving the outcomes that we set out to achieve.
Yeah, so I think two things. So I think overall, when you're looking at KPIs, whatever KPIs you're tracking, I think it's important, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners understand this concept, is we have industry benchmarks and then we have internal benchmarks. So we could say that, yes, we're succeeding in all of these KPIs well over industry benchmarks, but if our internal benchmark is higher than the industry, like that's what we should be measuring against, right? And so for us, pretty much across the board, it's cost per acquisition. You know, we're driving sales, whether it's, online or offline. That's one of our big CPM, of course, is always large. And I think too, it's, I think the industry has changed. In my previous life, before I came to grocery, it was all about like impressions and click-through rates.
Yeah, sure. But I think we've gotten beyond that with the level 100%. Of data and sophistication we have at our disposal, particularly for a retailer that's capturing and associating transactions with households. You can get much beyond that.
Absolutely. And I will say the one place where we do still very much take a look at analytics behind like engagement is like engagement within like certain features within our app or features on our website, right? When we've got A/B testing that's going on, like that's a little heavier with, just impressions and engagement, but CPA.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
For me, it's just, it's customer acquisition costs, and I understand that. Do you think about measuring customer long-term value as you think about who you're trying to acquire?
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Our business has been around for 85 years. Last year we celebrated 85 years. We're still family owned and operated. We have very loyal customers. They have been loyal forever. But even what we've talked about, actually, one of the sessions this morning here, is that the younger generation isn't shopping where their parents shopped. I'm a millennial. I shop where my parents shop. We shopped at Schnucks. I'm going to shop at Schnucks. And so they're shopping a little bit differently. So that is the challenge with wanting to grow loyalty with these emerging generations, that their behaviors are changing versus their parents. So yeah, that's definitely something that we're tracking to make sure that we're speaking to those customers in a personalized way that speaks to them. Onboarding new partnerships, right? We just launched our partnership with DoorDash, right? That's a much younger demographic. Sure. So maybe some of those shoppers aren't coming in as immediate, like loyal Schnuck shoppers, but maybe we can hook them the other way through DoorDash, where they can experience the quality and freshness and new products in a different avenue in the digital space.
Yeah, it's a different consumer, both in terms of what they're buying and oftentimes what their day part consumption activities are, right? They're going to skew a little bit later in the evening. I think there are some other platforms that have found that, they do an enormous amount of business for those that are open that late, after 10 p.m. at night, between 10 and 4. It's kind of crazy how we think about serving different communities with the solutions we have.
And I think too, I think about, growing up and even in my early years of my career, it's the drive time shop. It's you get off work at 5 o'clock and you're shopping at 5:30 and you're home by 6. Well, now I'm putting a curbside order in at 8 in the morning, or I'm doing a delivery order at 8 in the morning. So the times that I'm shopping are much different. So it's most convenient for me. So you've got to adjust to find where's the key way to find loyalty in those customers, because they're shopping different.
I think also your customers are relying much more now than in the past on you helping them decide what they're going to buy through recipes, through other offers and other inspirations, that you're becoming much more integral to how they plan their family meals.
Oh, 100%. And we've seen that a lot, where it's meal solutions, right? It's not just a grocery store anymore. It's meal solutions. And it's the digital shelf, it's the merchandising products together, it's how it's presented in a package, so it's easy to navigate.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about the omnichannel experience, but let me first start about, obviously in digital, it is a very transforming space. It's quite innovative. How are you fostering a culture of continual learning? You've got so many things going on, AI-driven chatbots and AI-infused search activities. How do you foster within your team a culture of learning and adaptability with all of these changing capabilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. First and foremost, we have for us being a smaller regional grocer, we have a very tech-forward, leadership team, and it trickles down, which is just really cool to experience in a corporate space, right? However, what I encourage my team to do, and they do a great job of that, is we partner with our web dev team. We partner with the teams that are rolling out AI capabilities. It's sit down, have conversations with them, right? And not just
can't be silent.
No, not just like a standing one-on-one. Like if you go to a conference or see an article, shoot it over to, this guy and let's have a conversation. And is this something that we could do? Another really great thing that we do on our team is we're not afraid to try something new. Okay. And if it fails, and that's okay. And so I think that encourages the whole team, myself included, that I can come to leadership and say, hey, I've seen this, I want to try this, let's give it a go. And then if it totally fails, at least we learned. Right?
Failures are steps on the path to success.
100%.
Absolutely.
And there's been things that we've tried that didn't pan out as well as we wanted. So then we learn. Yeah, we learn, we grow. Always encouraging, coming from curious also. We approach everything with a keen sense of curiosity. Hey, is this something that we could do? And then leaning into some of our customer insights and surveys and say, are customers talking about this? Have we seen this conversation starting elsewhere within our customer base? And if we have, then it's hey, there could be a there there,
You referenced this when you mentioned technical capabilities of your app and your site, but I'd love to hear how you are formally leveraging customer feedback to inform your digital marketing decisions. What goes into helping you decide where you're going to place your bets?
Sure, a few different ways. So we've got a really great customer insights team, and we run quarterly focus groups, right? We really upped that over the course of the last several years, and they are very quick to say what works and what doesn't in the digital space, right? And if they've seen some of our ads and if they think they're relevant or not to them, we ask those questions. Same thing with even within the app, right? We've got surveys that go out within the app as well. And another thing that we recently started doing too is we run, customer feedback surveys on the UX experience. Walk through our app, try to clip coupons, add items to cart, and then we can hear vocally as they're doing these actions, what pain points are they hitting along the way? We're all a little too close to it. We live and breathe this life every single day, so it can be challenging to think is this just me that thinks this menu option should change, or are customers really having a challenging time with it? And so we really listen to our customers.
That's critically important, the customer experience. One of the things I find that regional and super regional grocers do very well is have a real heartbeat connection to what's going on with their community that big national retailers oftentimes overlook and are more focused on trying to be homogeneous in terms of their approach. And you can really deliver a very personalized experience.
Yeah, and it's interesting because especially in the St. Louis market, it does expand out, but we've got heavy concentration in St. Louis. And if you meet someone, even when I was here, I met someone from St. Louis who was sitting next to me in one of the sessions, and the first thing they say is, what Schnucks do you shop at?
I love that.
And
That's
so
great.
we go, I shop at Hampton Village, or I shop at Richmond Center. Everybody has like their store. And when I'm speaking just in the wild in my community, it's like, let me tell you about my Schnuck store, and Tess, who works at the front desk, who's amazing, that we have that community feel. So the wonderful thing is that customers feel like they do have a voice because they feel invested because we're literally in their community.
I think next to probably a coffee shop, that is probably the most frequent number of visits per week for an average consumer. The grocery store is a core component. They're in, your most loyal shoppers are probably in your store 3, 4, maybe even 5 times a week, finding exactly what they want. Yep. That's great. I want to remind our audience, today I have the pleasure of speaking with Cristina Preston. She's the Director of Digital Marketing at Schnucks. So, Cristina, what challenges have you faced in creating a seamless omni-channel experience? We talk about, it's not about the consumer just shopping online or just shopping in a store. There's a huge blend that's going on there. So, how are you addressing making the omni-channel experience as seamless as possible for Schnucks consumers?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, it's going back to talking to the customers, having them walk through an experience, a test, a dev environment first, right? Does this make sense? Does the journey make sense? And if we're talking about like pain points or struggles that we have had, and I think honestly a lot of other retailers, smaller retailers, regional retailers have this struggle, it's just onboarding new tech and getting new data connections that have never existed before. That's probably been the most difficult thing, but at the same time, I think when it comes to like connecting and making sure they have a good journey across the board, is we take ourselves out of thinking inside the box. We think outside the box and think about the journey ourselves. One of our values at Schnucks is we're putting the customer first, right? A customer first mindset. So we try to walk through that journey as many ways, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, to ensure that the journey is right. And then I also think it's developing an optimized way to communicate to customers that, again, speaks to them, right? Preferences. If someone is more engaged with the app versus an email, well, maybe we don't keep sending them emails and clogging their inbox, That's not how they want to be communicated with.
The last thing you want them to do is opt out, because then you've lost them.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. I think about the customer journey, and I think about 90% of grocery purchases are still occurring in a physical store. Sometimes we forget, or we don't think enough about the fact that everybody in this day and age walks into a store with a very powerful device called their smartphone. And one of the things I loved about shopping online was I could learn so much about the product before I bought it. I could see I could see images of how it's used. I could understand if the food items that comply to the food lifestyle that I'm trying to live. How do you think about making sure that the in-store experience from a digital perspective is as powerful as them sitting outside the store, and making sure that there's connectivity so that because the last thing you want is them opening up somebody else's app while they're in your physical store, and they will. Yes. They will. I've many stories about this. But how do you think about making sure that they have everything they need, so that they're in your store, but they're still going to use their phone, and they're still going to start looking for recipes and ask questions about products and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, it's geofencing is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
I think we've all seen it in our own personal lives as well. So geofencing, getting in front of the customer as soon as they walk in the door, to know hey, we're here to help you. You can utilize the digital space and the in-store experience all at the same time. We've got some great features within our app, where there's item locators within the aisle, right? We've also, across all of our stores now, we've got digital shelf tags. So within the app, if you're in an aisle and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm looking for this one item that I only buy 1 or 2 times a year for special meal occasions and I don't know where it is, tap a little button on the app and it'll light up in aisle. So you know where to find the item, right?
That is, when I'm looking for that tiny little bottle of anchovy paste and I can't figure out where the heck it is, that's going to come in very handy.
Yeah, and I think, and it also helps, honestly, some of our digitally adverse customers are the ones that are a little more apprehensive that, hey, this isn't just another app. This isn't just a way for us to stay in your pocket. It's another like assistant to help you in the store. It's an assistant.
It's there to help you. Right. I love that. That's great. What emerging trends, as you sit in your role and you say you're dealing with all these new tech vendors and capabilities that are kind of coming at you like a fire hose shooting water out, what emerging trends in digital marketing do you think will have pretty significant impact on the grocery industry in general and Schnucks in particular over, the next couple of years?
Yeah, well, I think AI is a given. Yeah. There's a lot of conversations happening, right? I think for a long time it was SEO, and now it's GEO or AIO or whatever the new acronym is, for AI generated content because it's an ad-free space, right? It is what Google used to be, so that I think is going to be the next challenge for brands, for retailers, ensuring that your SEO is in tip-top shape, but now you've got to go a level deeper so that you appear in, AI results now.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons traditional search is really not effective for stock-up trips in particular is because I've heard traditional search referred to as spear phishing. You go to a search engine, you type in what you're looking for, and it gives you exactly what you're looking for. But there's a reason we don't go shopping for Thanksgiving online, because the amount of effort it takes to spear fish for everything you need to put together for a big holiday party, or 4th of July or whatever, can be challenging. Whereas when I walk into a physical store, everything's kind of all set up as a big 4th of July section. It's a big thing. So I think that's where AI and moving search from being more vertically focused, being more horizontally focused is really going to help. And I think to some degree, things like smart recipe solutions allow everything to be added to basket, or you can opt out of certain items because you've already got them in your cupboard. There's so much we can do to make the shopping experience more attuned to the needs of consumers, and we're not spending all our time. We're using these smart capabilities to save us time so we can get back to what we want to do for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, because we're busier now than we ever have been. Right? So then how do we make that most efficient, effective, and convenient for our customer?
How you made a reference to partnerships internally in terms of other departments, but I'd love to know what role partnerships and collaboration, maybe externally as well, play in expanding your digital reach to consumers. What are you doing to really amplify and get the word out with all the capabilities that you're bringing to bear?
Yeah, so I think if I understand the question correctly, we've onboarded several really great vendors, really great third-party partners. That, for example, we've got a really great partner we work with for SEO. Well, they also do now more than SEO, right? We had a conversation with them. We need to overhaul and really take a look at our SEO strategy. And then now as the trends are shifting, like I just said to, generative AI and AI results, it's, these partners are already so far ahead. We didn't even need a lot of the capabilities that they offered in the beginning, but now we've already have a great partnership with them. So we're able to kind of tag on all of the enhancements instead of onboarding new vendors, instead of having to do something in-house. We can actually take our partnerships and these contracts we have and just keep adding on to the already really great relationships we have. So we love our tech stack. We built it very well. Do I really need to add another vendor to my tech stack, another partner? Not necessarily. All of our partners are growing and growing and growing. Let's grow with them.
Yeah. I guess that gets to the heart of the concern of, do you buy or do you build?
Yeah.
Right? And you have to make judicious decisions with the resources that you have at your disposal. I think you understand that you can't build everything as much as you might like to have it.
Right.
But then you don't get the benefit. I found, having worked at a retailer myself a decade ago, that the problem with building internally is that your IT department oftentimes thinks of it as a project and not a product that is to be maintained. And you have to think as a digital product marketer, I need something that is going to be sustainable over time. So that really comes down to, if I build it myself, do I feel that we have internally the commitment to keep that, to support that, not just, hey, I've built it, here you go, I'll see you later.
Right.
Which
you have to keep building it.
You have to keep doing that, because I walked into one company I was working on. They built an insights platform 10 years beforehand, and they put nothing into it over 10 years. So it was kind of like I was selling a tool that was like a 2004 Honda, and everybody else was selling like a 2014 Toyota, with all the bells and whistles of new cars. So you do have to think about that very seriously. Mm-hmm. It is, as much as you want to control and want to customize, sometimes configuration with an outsourced partner can really extend that out. I'd love to know, as you think about what you've been doing the last couple of years in digital marketing, how do you see the role of digital marketing evolving in terms of what you'll be focused on doing in the near future?
Yeah, it's hard because I feel like it's changing all of the time. And
you don't know what you don't know.
Right, and I feel like if you would have asked me that 3 years ago, I wouldn't have told you anything that we're working on right now. But I think some of the trends are moving towards a little less traditional, even digital marketing. It's a lot of like social commerce and like shopping versus just awareness play, and to an extent. Also, something that I'm seeing right now, and I think is going to move that way, is a little less, I'm probably speaking out of both sides of my mouth now, but a little less salesy and more relational, speaking to a customer based on their emotions and what they believe in.
That's at the heart of social commerce, if you think about it. I mean, the newest generation, few, if any of them, get their news, get their information from the sources that you and I probably grew up on. And so figuring out how you integrate your messaging into how they absorb information, doom scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, and how do you break through the clutter there? And to your point, influencers, micro-influencers, it's not the big famous basketball player anymore. Right. It's the person who gets their attention with some funny little or some intriguing little video that hits through there as they're scrolling through, and it's in the bytes are measured in seconds. Like 8 seconds is a luxury in this day and age, whereas you and I grew up on 30 seconds.
Yeah, 15 was like really short.
15 is like, that's too short. Now it's like 8.
Too long.
We can't go over 8. We'll lose them. Lose them.
And I think too, I don't think we've completely crossed over this line yet, but you can take your traditional broadcast media and clip it down. I think that will slowly go away.
Well, if I think about what we do in this podcast, we record a long-form conversation, and then we clip it down, we post that on social media, and hopefully it's an intriguing enough bit that will entice the viewer to click and listen to the full episode. So.
Right. But I think that from a traditional broadcast commercial, right? If you clip that down, it still looks like a highly produced piece of content. And I don't think we're completely away from that yet, but I could see that trend slowly going the way of less produced. Get the most engagement.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Cristina, thank you for taking time out of the Digital Food and Beverage Summit to speak with me. I really appreciate it. Wishing you the best of luck on stage tomorrow. I've got 2 panels I'm moderating. I just have to ask the questions.
You got it easy.
You have to answer them like you did for me. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.